A tainted cough echoes the dank cold stone of the underground, but that haunting look was starting to show. White, lucid eyes that cloud no color. Sinews of skin and flesh pull away from the regular mortal, and purple-black hue flushes into their face. By Andraste, why have the sins of a few leave the rest of the good world to deal with this? The Blight, the first sin caused by the magisters of this damned Tevinter Imperium. Pride came into their hearts, and that is how they fell from the Golden City. Now we're left with a silent disease, a disease of the taint. This was the Blight, and this was the birth of a new Darkspawn. A Curse of Rebirth. What had been golden turned black, and violently they were flung from the world of dreams back into the waking world, twisted and corrupted by their crime and their magic into monsters. For this reason, Thedas brought the Darkspawn upon itself. When the Mega returns, he will destroy all evil, including the Darkspawn. So while the Chantry insists the Darkspawn created the first Archdemon, some ancient lore says that the first Archdemon of Dumat created the first Darkspawn and led them against Thedas. It's also highly debatable as to where precisely the Blight comes from too. According to Corypheus, he states that this plague was already existing and that the Magister Sedriel only discovered it and claimed it as theirs to permeate their entire being. A Curse of Rebirth. Some scholars say, where all races from all parts of Thedas now became rebirthed and blighted as creatures of this tainted essence. Some are considered more intelligent than others, while claiming consciousness after rigorous amounts of blood, specifically Grey Warden's blood, like in the Awakening DLC. And while I will get more into specific details about intelligent Darkspawn, let's go over the rebirth process. There seems to be two forms of birth for a Darkspawn: the taint and through the broodmothers. The taint is a corruption spread by the Darkspawn that ultimately makes the victim hear the call of the old gods. It can be transmitted through a contact with Darkspawn blood and even their fluids, or through objects imbued with the taint, such as tainted alluvians like from the Dalish origin in Dragon Age Origins. The taint is also referred to as the mysterious wasting illness, contracted from living beings within Thedas, such as rats, horses, and even food. Dwarves contract the taint more frequently due to the proximity of the Darkspawn within the Deep Roads, and griffins, winged beasts commanded by the Grey Wardens, became extinct due to its corruption, thus dying out an entire species according to the last flight. Concept and lore-wise, according to the former lead writer David Gator, simply touching Darkspawn blood does not automatically make you sick. However, you can get sick. The infected are often segregated and or locked up, and in some areas, doors of their homes are marked with a yellow circle according to the last court. So while the taint may be very contagious, it's often debatable. Of course, this is largely due to gameplay mechanics, but there's one thing for certain: there's a purpose within their intelligence. Recent evidence of Darkspawn capable of speech and rational thought has complicated theories surrounding the Blight's purpose. Only a few fringe scholars argue the point, as the death and destruction a Blight brings tend to render the question of why now becomes irrelevant. According to a codex, dwarves have witnessed intelligent Darkspawn throughout the Deep Roads, stating, "It reminds me of a story my grandsire used to tell. Said he once came upon a group of 3 Darkspawn in the Deep Roads, each twice the size of any dwarf, bigger than humans even, and dressed up like kings. He watched from the shadows and said they talked like people, about things they couldn't understand. A city gone black, and they blamed each other for things but could barely remember for what. Story goes that they attacked each other, and one ran off while the second choked the third to death and then ate him." And earliest recordings debate on when intelligent Darkspawn ever occur. For one, we do know that the Archdemon is considered intelligent, which brings us back to the start of the first Blight, which began in -395 Ancient, and according to the Canticle of Silence from the Chant of Light, it states where the Archon of Tevinter rides to face the Magisters, trying to cleanse the corruption and then calling upon power of spirits to scatter the Magisters who caused the first sin. So intelligent Darkspawn existed when the ritual was completed, and in -191 Ancient, intelligent Darkspawn capable of advanced thought and speech are discovered once again. The warden Sasha Miri captures Corypheus, who is said to be the greatest of these Darkspawn, and for centuries Corypheus was held in a prison commanded by the wardens, hidden within the Vimark Mountains. And from what we know about intelligent Darkspawn, so far the list goes down like this. Archdemons who command the Blight are once awakened, using their tactics and calling through the Darkspawn species. The Magisters who breach the Golden City, capable of speech and magic, thus are also intelligent, capable of breaching the heavens once again. The two greatest examples we have are the Architect and Corypheus. And the Broodmothers are also capable of intelligence. Although it doesn't seem like all are capable, the Mother, for instance, from the Awakening DLC was capable of controlling many Darkspawn. The first was also an example of intelligent Darkspawn, capable of speech and leading hordes of Darkspawn to battle. Of course, some fans have suggested even Ogres and to even Emissaries are capable of intelligence, and that seems to merit some truth. But regardless, these are the tiers we have seen throughout the lore of Thedas, and I'm sure we might see some more soon, like with the existence of a Blighted Titan, capable of their own intelligence as well with the rise of Red Lyrium. But with that, we must look into the one who started this whole process, with how they became blighted and produced the calling within their prisons, the Archdemons. No one knows what it is that drives the Darkspawn in their relentless search for the sleeping old gods. Perhaps it is instinct, as moths will fly into torch flames. Perhaps there is some remnant of desire for vengeance upon the ones who goaded the Magisters to assault heaven. Whatever the reason, when Darkspawn find one of these ancient dragons, it is immediately afflicted by the taint. It awakens twisted and corrupted, and leads the Darkspawn into a full-scale invasion of the land, a blight. They say an archdemon is a fearsome creature with gnarled teeth, rotting purple scales, and bent wings. Despite its monstrous appearance, the dragon is believed to be quite intelligent. Specifically in battle, the archdemon rarely fights on the surface during blights, unless direct intervention is necessary. Although through the hive mind, the archdemon communicates with and commands the entire horde whether in their presence or not, usually sending its orders to the emissaries or powerful Herlock generals. But whether we agree on what the archdemons truly are or not, it seems to imply that they are the very essence of the old gods from the Tevinter Imperium's belief, hidden within the chambers of their prisons beneath the lands of Thedas. Scholars assume that the old gods must indeed have been real at one point, but most agree that they were likely actual dragons, ancient high dragons of a magnitude not known today. Some even claim that these dragons slumber as a form of hibernation, but not as a result of the Maker's wrath. The Chant of Light implies that the Maker trapped the old gods in internal prisons beneath the earth as their punishment. But it's also strange that the verbiage the chant uses, because there is another tale of the Elven that have for Fen'Harel, who trapped the Evaneris into their eternal prisons as a fitting punishment for their death of Mythal. Regardless of who is actually telling the truth, legend maintains that even from their underground prisons, the old gods were able to whisper to the minds of men. And according to once again the Calling, a few of the high-ranking Grey Wardens actually know the locations of each of the Archdemon prisons. However, they are deep underground and cannot easily be accessed by the Wardens without cutting through thousands of Darkspawn. Even the Wardens who hold the knowledge of the Archdemon prisons are not necessarily even aware of how this information has been acquired. However, what makes this even more interesting is the discovery of the Shimmer Stone mine from Inquisition, which recovers a Warden logbook codex entry. Within the text, the Grey Warden entered the Deep Rose here and found an unnamed Tig. They believe that the Tig was a refuge to one of the remaining known Archdemons. It is unknown if the Archdemon referenced in the Warden's logbook was one of the 5 archdemons already awakened by the time of 941 Dragon, or if the text implied that this was specifically referencing to Lusakan, the Dragon of Night, as Lusakan is one of the 2 only remaining old gods known by the Wardens to still be imprisoned underground beneath Thetis. And by 941 Dragon, the mine is completely collapsed and covered in lava. So perhaps this is the prison of Lusakan, while Razakale's prison is somewhere within northern Thetis. It is a suspicion, of course, but what remains of the Blights is coming to a close. Perhaps a real archdemon is the Titans within Thetis. As we know, red lyrium has become a larger menace throughout the lands. And since we know lyrium is discovered to become tainted too, archdemons aren't the only enemy anymore. The Cure. During the events of Inquisition, the hero Ferelden is engaged in a search of a cure for the Calling and the Blight itself. For how long the Blight has existed, its cure still remains a mystery. For one thing seems to be sure is that the common denominator of diminishing the Blight is through blood. According to the last flight, a Grey Warden blood mage, Isia, was able to purify a clutch of griffin eggs, embryonic creatures which had little to anchor the taint, unlike mature organisms. She cured them by drawing their taint into herself through the process of maleficarum, or blood magic. And even in Dragon Age 2, Meryl was able to purify a tainted Alluvian with blood magic as well. And even in rare cases, we've seen an infected subject like the Mabari Hound to make a full recovery if given early care from Dragon Age Origins. Another oddball to the cure is the possibility of spirits helping resist the taint. David Gator stated that Anders being merged with Justice may have been one of the two effects. One is that the spirit within Anders can affect the level of his corruption, so it may delay or remove the necessity of his calling altogether. Either that, or at some point the corruption with Anders is going to corrupt the spirit. He refused to tell which of the writers prefer. However, spirits are known to be scared of the Black City, the theorized birthplace of the Blight within the Fade, due to the fear of its corruption. So perhaps spirits can handle the effect of the taint, but them being the cure for it is probably not a possibility. However, Grand Enchanter Fiona is the only exception. She was previously known as a Grey Warden who was completely cured of the taint. So, during the Calling, Fiona wore an amulet along with other wardens to hide her from the notice of the Darkspawn while venturing through the Deep Roads. Unbeknownst to her, the amulet was created by the Architect and it accelerated the corruption in her body. When Fiona realized what was happening, taking off the amulet theorized that it reversed the effect. Instead of the corruption continuing to spread, her body was completely cleansed of it. However, it's definitely possible that she got cured because of the dragon blood in Merrick, which affected her when she got pregnant with Alistair, which we know is the Theron blood, who became powerful due to the drinking of a great dragon from Calenhad the Great. So dragon's blood is another possibility of a cure for the Blight. After all, dragons are practically able to withstand the effects of the taint for quite a while. They are even theorized by scholars to be practically resistant, but we know through Corypheus' dragon and even the research we find within the Western approach, they still can be tainted. It just takes longer than necessary. But this is a problem, because we never truly find out the real root of Fiona's cure. And it looks like we might not ever learn it unless the act is repeated somewhere else, since she can die in Dragon Age Inquisition. And the possibility of a cure, or the closest to one, was from the idea of the Architect's research, and by curing the Blight was to make the whole Thedosian population become Grey Wardens, which is just one of those typical herd mentality theories, or perhaps he came up with, but the indication of curing Darkspawns from their prisons of the call from the Archdemons might have been cured from this. The rest of the population would have to suffer the same fate. So that's just it, we don't know a cure, and in fact, the plague benefits only the Darkspawn. And that is where we are so wrong. The Blight can never be harnessed or controlled, so the intelligence behind it has the motive to ruin Thetis and its organisms within it. But with that, we are going to wrap up. Turns out we were so wrong about Darkspawn and their intentions. What do you think of the Blight and its threat upon Thetis? Thank you for watching, thank you for my Patreons, and I will see you in the next video.